do it.
Hello, Hero Tribe members. How are we all?
I'm great. I feel like I'm part of this. I'd love to know who's joining us. Hey, Paulie.
What's happening?
Wednesday evening, sun was shining today. Beautiful evening. Just good to be here with the tribe. Who have we got joining so far?
How are we all? We got Sam on board.
I'm great. Sammy. I feel like I'm part of this. I'd love to know.
Sorry about that. A little bit of an overdub situation going on. This is the nature of the live beast. But here we are, 8:30 on a Wednesday evening, and I'm loving these sessions. I've got to say, like, these are opportunities for us to just be out there and raw, and just to be able to answer any questions that anybody has. And I'd love anybody who's online to be able to just introduce yourselves, and really I'd love to gauge your interest in what the topic of conversation is tonight, because it's a juicy one. It's a real juicy one. It's something that is a natural extension of what we've discussed a couple of weeks ago, which was how to really, follow through and achieve a goal. And a natural thing that comes up, a natural barrier that comes up with that, is remaining consistent in being able to achieve that.
Yeah, it's a powerful topic, and I just know in my experience, consistency is key in all ways, whether it's health related, family related, professionally. The importance of just staying on point is really crucial to really getting benefit and value from whatever we're prioritizing. And it's going to be exciting to explore how to build consistency and what the starting point is for that, especially wherever you are in your journey with Hero. But this can be applicable to all aspects of everyday life. I think we all know that when we practice, we progress. So that's kind of a nice mantra to lead us off. That practice makes progress. And I think that just frames it a little bit differently to maybe the way you've heard that approach before. But I definitely see that that's the way to build a habit and to build consistency.
Yeah, it certainly is. And that leads me to the quote that is inspired, excuse me, that has inspired me to really, label this conversation that we're having. And it's the quote by James Clear, who wrote just a marvelous book a couple of years back. And it was, we don't rise to the level of our goals, we fall to the level of our systems. And I've experienced it in my own life. I've witnessed it in many clients' lives. And ultimately, it's about being able to formulate a game plan and then adhere to that. But also, if you realize that your formulation isn't serving you at that current point in time, recheck in with yourself and reformulate. Make something that is more tangible and something that you can adhere to, and build from there. And that's what I've found to be a really super way to go about it. Dan, have you experienced anything with this, with your, like, as an example in your own life? I'm going to grab a drink of water real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think there's, 4 key elements when building a habit or building consistency. And I'll just use the example of training for the half Ironman starting on December 31st, 2018 last year, 2 years ago, and having the goal that on June 9th, 2019, I was going to be able to complete it in 6 hours. And to really build that and stay consistent and achieve that goal, the end result was to complete it in a certain time, but the journey was 6 months of consistent training. And training to me also meant great nutrition, recovery, conditioning of the body, as well as just the general body of work I needed to do week to week to be able to achieve this endurance event. And so what was key was, well, having a tribe. So what we've got here is just such an essential way for us all to draw on each other's inspiration and consistency and ways of showing up. And I feel like we're utilizing this community more and more, and we want to keep facilitating that, because we're really all in this together. We might be at different stages, but we're really in this together. So how do we ask the questions and seek that support? Paul and I, as the coaches here, like we're just so available to bounce ideas with you. One client in particular is about to start training for a 32-kilometer endurance event in the Alps of Victoria, a nice trail run. And I'm really excited to guide him on that journey. And I know there's a lot of people that are interested in some running sessions. So please hit me up if you are, because I'm quite passionate about that, and we've got some great programs that I can offer. And that's what Paul and I strive to do here, is just offer a tailored system for each client to really get the maximum value from our time together in Hero. And then, of course, just having, the training tools, having the Hero app, having the coaching sessions, having, the weekly sessions or fortnightly training sessions. I mean, we're developing consistency through practicing. And so every day we've got an opportunity to train, and every week we've got an opportunity to train together. And so there's no end to how much we can do and what's possible for us. I think, that in itself is just so powerful. And then we're just practicing showing up every day and just like following on one day at a time to reaching those targets and building that consistency muscle, because that's really all it is. It's another muscle that we're developing, the consistency muscle. And how do you build that? You just repeat it many times over and over and over. And then that consistency muscle is tuned and ready for whatever's next. So I like to think of consistency is just another muscle, and hopefully that kind of connects to everyone here tonight and who will watch this, because even though we're like developing great strategies when it comes to our health life, consistency is another muscle that we can tune and train up as well.
It certainly is. And, that in theory is exactly, it's as simple as that. Like it's create a plan and stick to it. Now, if only life was that simple, often, emotionally we get in our own ways. Events come up where, we are unable to, commit to a plan that we had set out for. And I suppose, let me ask you, Dan, when something came up for you when you were training for this half Ironman, mm-hmm. and you had set out a plan and you were like, consistency is key, but something went wrong, and when I say something went wrong, I simply just mean you were unable to commit to a daily task that you had committed to previously. How did you respond to that?
So I'm so happy you brought that up because I was just thinking before you even said that I remember there was a 2-week period in May. So it was like 1.5 months before, it was 1 month before the event, and I got sick. It was inevitable that I was it could have been burnout. It could have been, overtraining. It could have been the conditions in Melbourne weren't suitable to doing these ridiculous training sessions that I was doing at that time. But I was unwell. And, I just had to consistently not do the training. And I know that might be like a reframe of consistency, but ultimately it was like, okay, I need to pause what I'm doing so I can allow my body to heal. And I need to do that consistently so I rejuvenate and revitalize, which is what I needed to do. And it was really hard to do that as well. So it's like kind of like a shift, but essentially it was like a challenge to not do something. And, sometimes our challenges are to do something, but the same muscle and the same intelligence still really applies. It's just a reframe of that. And so the solution really was, what can I do at home that isn't going to disturb or disrupt my plans for the weeks ahead? But maybe I could do some yoga. Maybe I could do some light stretching. maybe I could actually just, get a golf ball and rub my feet on that, throughout the day. Get massages. Like, there's so many other ways that I could look after myself and nurture my body back to full health. And I think that that's part of it too. It doesn't have to be all one thing. It's about a holistic approach. And ultimately, consistency means just doing something regularly. And that might not always be training. It might be conditioning. It might be stretching. It might be nutritionally. Whatever it is, we can just kind of tune into what's needed in that very moment. And that was a good teaching for me. So I really appreciated that.
Yeah, like, to me, I'm hearing there that we can make plans, grand plans, to be able to achieve a single direction in life, to be able to achieve a single goal. But ultimately, we're not the same person that we were 6 months ago, and we're not even the same person we were an hour ago. So we're continuously evolving, we're continuously developing. Life is dynamic, it's not static. And shit happens to you sometimes. Shit happens to your body, shit happens to your mind and your personal life. And ultimately, I think it's about what's going to serve you for the grander scheme, but also what's going to serve you for this point in time right now. And being able to be nimble and being able to be what's the word I'm looking for? Flexible with yourself, and also forgiving with yourself, to be able to say what is going to serve me in this point in time so it can serve me for my ultimate goal. It's a challenge because it's not like a linear path. Sometimes you need to take one step back to take two steps forwards. Like you said, like, that must have been really challenging. Like, you've been training for 6 months to be able to complete a half Ironman, and all you've thought about is go, go, go. And ultimately, the best thing you could do for yourself right there and then was do nothing, or rest, or do something passive, and do something a little bit more feminine in nature than go, 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 that masculine kind of grr, and that's a challenge, not to grunt, because we're told constantly doing is by the most effective way of achieving, and sometimes it's quite the opposite.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this is a rich topic in and of itself that's slightly away from the consistency theme, but I'd be happy to just do a whole talk on the whole journey of doing 6 months of training, because I realize the more I speak about it, that there are so many other elements to it that came up during this time. So maybe I'll save that for another time. But I think, did you want to say something, Paul?
No, I was going to steer it back to the aspect of consistency, but you go with your thought.
Yeah, just sticking to the plan. I think each of us here have a plan, and we know, and Paul's alluded to this, but we know that the shit's going to hit the fan from time to time, and motivation and energy will wane and waver and knock us about a little bit. And it's like, well, what's your intention for doing what you're doing? And we have conversations with everyone here about just that sense of role modeling. And I just wanted to bring that up as a sense of intention tonight, because to be consistent, where it's not just being, taking care of ourselves, but it's, if we're taking care of ourselves, then we can be just incredible role models for our family. And I know that's a big reason why we're all doing this, is to be the best, versions of ourselves for our family. And so, like, what a motivator to get us up every day and to break through that glass ceiling that feels like it's limiting us because we're tired or we're overworked. And I'm not saying that we don't take care of ourselves and don't find the balance there, but it's also about, could I really do something, or do I need that time off? And it's a question that I think is really powerful to ask in terms of building that consistency muscle, is actually, do I have the energy to do that session? Can it be done? Can I do a modified version of it just to tick it off? And what the benefit is of doing that. And when we ask ourselves those real based questions, we get those real answers, and then we don't kind of take shortcuts. And I think a lot of us know in our experience in our lives that it's so easy to take the easy approach and that shortcut. And we're trying to like break that cycle of taking shortcuts and offer a way to just get the work done. and keep it simple and make it time efficient and show up and use the tribe and use the coaches for support to maintain and keep consistent.
Spot on. I've had some interactions with some clients just today where they've experienced niggles or an injury, and to me it's about understanding what injury is, but also understanding that you're still able. Our bodies are designed to continuously move. Okay, if back in the day, if we had an injury and we were like, you know what, I'm just going to rest this one out for a week, you'd die. Caveman days, you needed to go out and hunt and gather and do all that type of stuff. So ultimately, our bodies are designed to continuously move. And in my opinion, in my research, obviously there are outlying situations here, but you need to find intelligent ways to continue to pump nutrients, blood to your joints and to your bones and to your muscles, so you can continue to thrive and you can continue to move towards life and health. And there's a concept out there that we discussed earlier today, Dan, called greasing the groove by my man Paulo Tsutsoulan, who is just so cool. And if anyone has ever heard of him, he's great. And if you've heard him speak, he's even cooler than his name. But the concept of greasing the groove is being able to, if you don't have the time, space, or whatever it might be, to be able to go through through a movement in its fullest, in its highest, most intense nature. You can grease the groove by doing it by pulling back in its intensity. And, going through a movements don't injure you. It's the intensity in a movement that can injure you. If you put too much weight on a bar, if you jump too high, if you do this, if you do that, but a movement itself is not going to necessarily injure you. It's where people misplace it. So going back to the concept of greasing the groove, it's a great way for you to stay consistent, lower the intensity, turn down the volume a little bit, but still keep exercising the muscle of self-discipline. And that is the biggest muscle that you can exercise in this entire hero tribe process. Self-discipline is the filter in which the entire hero process is seen.
Yeah. So, and that really leads nicely on to an aspect that I feel is crucial to this ingredient, and that's mindset. And so when we explore mindset in regards to consistency, one thing that I know is really important to acknowledge and recognize is that each day your mindset might be different, and it might be excitable, it might be bored, it might be feeling worthless or not good enough, or my body can't do this, or I'm not strong enough. Then the next day might be, I am strong enough, I am great. So like the mind is always going to be maneuvering from day to day, moment to moment, most likely. And it's to be unflinching when we are having thoughts and emotions arise about, our health life and our body and our consistency and our energy, and be really confident that you can continue on and continue showing up no matter what, and to not have the expectation that your thoughts should look a particular way every day, because we all know that that's not possible. And so to know that means that we can just continue showing up. And that's such a relief to know. And it's so freeing to know that who cares if we wake up tired? That's not a reflection of us being tired. That's just the experience that's happening in that very moment. And we can really break through that and just show up and continue on and get the work done. And that's building that muscle again and again and again, that we're just not a victim to our circumstances, and that no matter what's going on upstairs, doesn't have to inform our actions in our day-to-day life.
Yeah, it's articulated beautifully as to the sense that, just the challenge of not being attached to your thought processes and your understandings of what you were in the past. Like we do it all the time, and just to be able to kind of take a breath. And we talked about this today, Dan. We even talked about this in the sense that, what is hunger when it comes to, intermittent fasting, or that form of eating. It's like, ask your stomach, whether it actually is hungry, and you might get a different response to the emotional response that comes out. I was speaking to a client or a dad tonight, about him feeling hungry after completing a meal or having his dinner, and he's like, still hungry, and it's amazing what can happen if you just have a moment, take 20 minutes, just exist for a moment, and then ask your stomach where it's at. But once again, we digress. Back to consistency.
Well, I'd love to know. Sorry.
Yeah, you go, mate.
I just wanted to know who's online, and any questions or any thoughts being shared.
So we got some boys online. We got Nick, we got Sam, we've got Dean. I've got some other peeps online, but I'm struggling to find out how to identify them. So right now we're just going to go with those guys. But right. Do you have a question for them? Because if you do, go ahead.
I'd just love to hear if they've got any questions, or if they've got anything they wanted to share or explore. It'd be great to hear from everyone.
Yeah, what challenges have you guys come up against when it comes to staying consistent with your health practice, or any practice in your life, really?
Yeah, let's take a moment. We need some kind of like in between music.
The ooh, oh, ooh.
That was it.
It's funny, because so Dean said the bloody staff room at work and cake every day. Well, that's a super, super poignant thing to bring up. I love that. I just take myself for a walk instead. Right on, Dean. And that is like, that's spot on. Consistency is going to be like the best thing you can do is set up your environment so you can be consistent. Now, you work at a school, so obviously you're going to be surrounded by an environment, and we all are surrounded by environments that we can't control to a certain extent. But what do you do when you find yourself in that environment? You remove yourself from it and you do something healthy instead. It's very easy to engineer an environment around your home to be able to do that. That is definitely the first step. But to be able to take yourself out of a challenging environment and put yourself into an environment that is going to feed you in a positive way, that's not just like a step in the right direction. You've actually robbed your deficit in your bank and you've put it into credit. That's just acting with integrity in such a big way, because you were tempted with the cake and you've gone, nah, I'm going to actually use this moment in time to replace that negative action or disempowering action with a positive one. And that's just like I said before, it's like awesome. It's a wonderful thing to be able to do. And it's also like, bravo, like really good.
And I also think that, at one point we'd never have to remove ourselves from anywhere. And it's like staying put in the fire of all the alcohol and pizza and chips and, chocolates and Tim Tams and Freddos and all the good things and donuts that are around. And it's like knowing so deeply within ourselves that we are at ease with everyone doing what they're doing, and we're just staying consistent with what our choices are. Firstly, it's very empowering for ourselves. And secondly, it's very inspiring to others, because I think we all know that when someone's doing something that's kind of breaking the mold, and right now you're doing something that's breaking the mold, you're taking care of yourself, you're looking after yourself, you're training, you're eating well, you're prioritizing your health. I mean, that's magnetizing. That's so attractive. And so to be a role model, to be an example, it's a humbling place to be and to live and reside in. And that also energizes. I know for me that has a big impact of why I do what I do and how I show up as I do. Knowing that I can have a great impact by just living that life that I choose to live. And if other people can kind of jump on board that, then, we're all getting healthy, and then we're all going to be great role models, and we're going to, teach our children how to look after themselves too. And that's really what we're trying to do here, is just be examples of a healthy life.
Yeah. You're right on. And, there's been some new comments here. Dean actually just said, he was tempted by the by the cake, and then he said, I'll either go for a walk or steal one of the kids' lunches, which I also appreciate. Thank you. And Sam's got something in that he can't seem to get back into waking up and pushing himself past that first moment. He wakes and he makes excuses to hide behind these. And momentum is a really, really powerful thing, whether it's momentum towards something you want to be, or if it's something towards something you're wanting to move away from. It is a powerful thing in both the positive and the negative.
Yeah. And, Sam, just to speak specifically to your question, I think I got the gist of it from Paul. Sometimes the best way to wake up early in the morning is to revisit how your evening routine is. And we love to talk about that here, because if you really build a solid evening routine, then you can, have a really beautiful morning and a great routine as well there. So it kind of starts the night before, and it can take time to have that spaciousness before you feel ready to go to bed. So I understand that sometimes, you might have a late night at work, you might be depleted of energy after a big physical day of work. I do know the work you do, so I'm speaking specifically to you. So to give yourself that time to unwind, have that herbal tea, knowing that that's the start of your unwinding process. Maybe you'll have a hot shower too. You'll have a hot shower, then maybe you'll have a cup of tea, then you'll just rest for a little bit and do something that really relaxes you. Maybe that's reading a book. I wouldn't say technology, which seems to activate people. But whatever it will be for you, just design an evening routine that sets you up so you do feel energized in the morning. I mean, it might not look like fully energized, but it might give you the sense of, I've had such a great night the night before that I'm ready to get up. I know I've got, the sleep that I wanted to get in terms of hours. I know that I've, set myself up ready to hit the day in the most empowering way. And it's just not even thinking about 3 days time, am I going to do it? It's like, can I just start that tonight? I think it's so easy to get lost in how's it going to be in X amount of days, weeks, months, or years. But let's just chunk it back down to what can we do tomorrow to build the consistency muscle? And it might be, if you snooze 5 times, snooze 4 times, and then 3 times, and then 2 times, and then 1, and then not at all. I mean, it's just it's about reframing things so we're less harsh on ourselves, and it's celebrating the small wins. And it might just be like that. Seriously, if you do snooze, make a change there. Or if your alarm does go off, rest for a moment in bed. Don't get out of bed straight away. Rest for 1 minute, but keep your eyes open. Just keep your eyes open. Another thing that I love to do, even if it's early morning, and it's possible because at the moment it is, because my daughter's getting up at 5 a.m. and so is my wife, and I have to go to work, we'll open the blinds to let some light in. And that's just a beautiful way to acknowledge the start of the day. I mean, there's so much more that I think both of us could share here, but Sam, let us know if that was helpful. And if not, let's have a chat.
Yeah, and just one last thought on that topic. If you haven't already covered it, it's really just to take 5 minutes before you go to sleep to actually consider what is the first thing you want to do when you wake up that next morning. Even write it down, and after you do that, set up your environment once again the next morning, whether it is whatever it is you like, that one single thing that you want to do that is going to add to your productivity for that day, whether it's journaling, whether it's actually doing a workout. If it's journaling, put your journal out there on the table that you intend to write on. If it's doing a workout, get your workout gear out in the garage, wherever it is that you're going to do it, or wherever you're going to get set up, and set up your environment for an empowering process that next morning, because that's going to be the best thing. And also create that intention in your mind before you go to sleep, and then it's done, signed, sealed, delivered.
And perfectly timed too. Was that helpful, Sam? Let us know. Give us a thumbs up or any
Yeah,
comments.
please let us know, Sam. And that brings us past the half an hour mark. I hope you guys got some value out of that. I for one, am really enjoying these chats. And I'd love to continue doing them. And yeah, just let us know if this time is also a convenient time for you guys. I think it's seems to be pretty spot on. And yeah, thanks again for your time, guys.
Yeah, really nice to join, and have a great couple of weeks. And we'll see you next week for a training session, and then we'll have another coaching session. And really, if you have any feedback or any thoughts about other ways that we can support you, we're always open to that too. So let us know. We want to offer you as much value as we can in our times together. So have a great night, everyone, and thanks for joining.
Enjoy,
Thanks
guys.
to Polly.
Take care. Thanks, Dan.